son. Where'd you find this?
Buckle up, buttercups. It's time to get down to business. Oh, yeah. It's the Totally Legitimate Business Podcast. Totally legit.
All right, degenerates, we're back here again. It's the Totally Legitimate Business Podcast, and today we're joined by the former co-host of this show and the king himself, Mr. Clint Gee. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, it's nice to be here.
Here we are. We're doing it. Yeah, Bubs, good to have you back, and I'm really excited to talk about the new musical developments on your end because there's just something that came together super quickly. But we'll get into that in a second. How you doing, Bub?
Dude, I'm doing okay. For anybody who's been listening when did the podcast start? 2021? It's been
a couple years ago.
So I used to be a co-host, and James and I just kind of did it to, be able just to have a creative outlet together and do some stuff. And life was very different back then, as I'm sure everybody else has changed in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But I stepped away because I'm an asshole. And
terrible
James
friend.
James just doubled down on what he wanted to do. And I'm so proud because now he's got the weirdest guests and he talks about the craziest things. So like every time I see a little clip or, if I'm like chilling at home watching YouTube, I'll watch it and I'm like, you're really on to some next level shit there, bud. So way to go. Proud of you.
Well, I appreciate it. And yeah, the guests are getting very weird. And I love that. That's the whole, we were always the people having the weird conversation at parties in the corner, even at shows, we'd be the guys out in the alley having the weird conversation about aliens. So
yeah, and now it's like I feel like that's pretty normal now. Like everybody's like, oh yeah, like aliens, yeah, they exist. The government, yeah, it's all just a scam. Like
it is really strange how receptive society is now becoming to that idea. Because 10 years ago they weren't. A lot of people.
Because I can just walk around and just assume that anyone my age or younger is communist and bisexual. So everyone's pretty chill. So.
Well, at least in Seattle, for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, in my little bubble that I live in. But, we choose where we live,
Yeah. Or does it choose us? I don't know.
Yeah. How's New York been treating you? No major national disasters there, I guess?
Not yet. New York is just a very strange place to live, and I like it. It works for me now. I don't know if it's going to work for me forever, but it is. I love this place. It's chaos.
Yeah,
it's chaos.
You stick your head out of your little hole, and the city just hurls experiences at you, and you either try it again the next day and fail, or you learn something. So.
Well, and again, like I like that. I like the unpredictability of this place because things are just very unpredictable here. And I love that. It's like the spice of life,
A little variety, making the sauce.
Making the sauce. Also, I like most of my family's from here. So like there were things. Even when I lived in the South, I just didn't see things the same way. And like once I moved back here, I was like, oh, it's because I was raised by Northern people.
Well, and the experiences that you get living in such a more, I don't want to say, at least in my experience, like I want to say eclectic, but Seattle's just all fucking white people. So yeah. Like it's not as like obviously I think racially diverse as a lot of other cities,
Sure.
But I mean, people are like, oh, what radicalized you and your beliefs? It was just life experience and visiting places and being exposed to things and like getting outside of that little bubble, It's like, because we met in a college town when we were like 18 years old. And like, as cool as that was and in meeting new people, it was the same shit, dude. It was, it was just a little bubble. So the more you get out, the more you experience, the more you can appreciate the subtle nuances of things.
Yeah, well, I definitely the South. The South is a unique bubble, but it's also, again, like one of the reasons why we had to go out and get more. Needed something different. But you know, I don't know. The older I'm getting, the more I'm becoming okay with the idea of like actually being isolated. Being in the city is cool. Being in the city is nice. Suburbs would be all right. But how do I get more isolated?
No, dude, I've got 2 years of the city shit left in me before I just like get an A-frame out in the mountains and learn to play banjo.
You go full Unabomber.
Yeah. Still can't grow a beard, so I'm just going to be a Joe Dirt looking dude out there and just a little plot of land. That's Clint's world, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's the most any of us could hope for. And we can obviously get into this later, but the strangeness weird times gone strange.
Yeah. And it's only getting weirder, bud.
That's what I'm saying. It's just like every day is compounded. Planes are falling out of the sky. They're talking about ripping the government apart down to its pieces. Classic industrialist cronies are coming in to milk all the taxpayer money off to fund their fucking corporate operations.
Part of me is freaking out, and part of me is just like, let it burn, see what happens. You know, like,
well, this is kind of, you know, like we've talked about this a million times on this show, even outside this show. But it's like something's going to have to change, right? Something's going to have to change, and that change probably isn't going to come with sunshine and daisies.
No,
like it's going to be hard. It's going to be a hard transition into something different. So the destruction to me is like, I also welcome it because at least something is happening. So, I don't know.
So just advice to all my lovely, peaceful, liberal friends: go to the gym, get weapons,
learn how to shoot a gun.
Just in case.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I don't know, man. It's weird. It's weird shit.
Yep. You know me. I'm not a very political person, but I do consider myself somewhat of a anthropologist, sociologist. I don't know. I'm just a very social person, and I pick up on the vibes of everything. Like, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm some CNN correspondent or something. But
but the government, like the
I
government,
can report on what's going on in the city.
That's like the government
report on the vibe.
The federal government is like, that's just one portion of it. Yeah. And you're right. Like the general vibe in society is strange. It doesn't even matter geographically where you are. Like even here, vibes are weird. They're different, just like they were different during COVID. You know, I don't know. The level of optimism and hope is definitely at an all-time low. And
it's looking bleak out there. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. The fucking, you know, the hypocrisy ramps up, and
it's snowing in Florida, and California's on fire, dude. Like something's going down.
Yeah, us.
Yeah,
it's us. That's what's going down.
My will to live. Yeah.
But you know, again, we deserve this. So everyone is accountable here. We deserve this. Whatever we get is probably better than we deserve. So,
yeah, I agree. Yeah,
this is peak nihilism. I'm really glad that we're. We're starting this conversation out of this.
So this is going to be a really cheery episode, everyone. So thanks for tuning in.
Well, look, we're going to do what we always do, and that's channel all of those feelings through some type of creative expression, right? That's just what we do. And that's definitely why I'm so excited about Smearing and the new musical endeavor you've got going. With members of other riotous Seattle slam and metal bands. Why don't we talk a bit about Smearing? Why don't you tell me how this comes together? Because it escalated very quickly, and just from the outsider's perspective, it seemed like at least a portion of the creation was due to lack of patience in the best way.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. The irony of talking about a grindcore band is that you'll probably talk about it longer than the actual release is. So it's like, I think it's first release just came out a couple weeks ago. It's 5 songs and 7.5 minutes, give or take. So it's pretty concentrated as far as the destruction and speed of everything goes. But yeah, dude, came together pretty quick. You know, it's like I've been playing in another metal band around town, you know, just obviously making friends with people. And I always kind of put the feeler out, like I've always wanted to be in a grindcore band. And, you know, like the project I was playing, it was a little bit more ethereal, a little bit more like emotional, you know, like a little, like some vibes, you know,
artsy. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just always wanted to be in something that was just like, you know, I've been in that stuff since I was like a teenager, right? You know, like, I heard Motorhead and I was just like, how can I do that, but faster? You know, like, and yeah, it just kind of came together, man. Like I was, you know, you and I, we were kind of running like a little local record label here for a bit. And I was working with a band to put stuff out. Bunch of stuff happened. They kind of fell apart, but obviously I'm friends with the people that are in it. I keep in touch. They had like a couple little member switches here and there. And then they found themselves without a singer, and they had this little EP kind of recorded, and very quickly, like, you know, they were about to play a show as a 3-piece. And I was like, hey, I was like, just really quick, would you guys want another singer? And they were like, yeah, can you come in tomorrow? And I was like, dude, shit. I was like, tomorrow, you know, like I had like a 13-hour notice, and I was like,
your bluff. Yeah.
Yeah. But I was like, all right, cool. Send me the demos. And I wrote 2 songs just overnight, just really quick. And those just ended up being the lyrics to everything. Cause I just sat there and I was like, oh yeah, this is slamming. This is mean. So, yeah, just wrote that stuff, went in, and yeah, they were like, okay, yeah, you're our guy. Like, perfect. I was like, I got to go out of town and see my family for Christmas. Let's get shit scheduled. You guys keep working on stuff. We'll just kind of keep all this moving. And went out of town, wrote the rest of the songs, came back. We set up a recording day like 2 weeks from the day that I tried out for the band, and then just went in there and ripped it. Yeah, our shout out to our buddy Bob, who he's played in a ton of bands just like from the Northwest and everything. He's toured
shout out Bob.
Like, dude, Bob's the best, but he's played in like, you know, like pop bands, death metal bands. He's currently playing in the band Eris, which is really sick around here. And Matt from Smearing plays in there as well. So, but Bob's got a sick little studio, wanted to help us out. So, yeah, dude, we just jumped in there and ripped it, and it all just kind of came together real quick. And then, you know, of course, everybody's like, oh, we should, you know, like get it out as soon as possible. So in true not me fashion, because, you know, I'm a planner, I'm a freak. Like, I want everything to be like, no, we need press kits, we need everything to be in this nice little slots. I just kind of, I've been subscribing to like positive nihilism lately, where I just say, fuck it, and kind of let things be what they are, and just kind of submit some control to the universe, kind of let it be what it is. So we got it out really quick.
That is the hippiest shit of all time.
Dude, 100%. I've turned into such a little fucking freak. Yeah, dude.
West Coast crystal gazer.
Dude, straight up. I got incense going right now. Sip tea. I'm sipping tea. I got incense as I'm just writing like terrible nihilistic things. But yeah, dude, got all that shit together really quick. And yeah, just put it out as soon as we could, just because we wanted to get shows. And we know that, you know, we're not cool enough guys in town where we can be like, hey, we're in a new band, and everyone's just going to be like, oh, here's the best show ever. So, you know, we just wanted to get out there and start grinding up a little bit, especially like, you know, grindcore. We've got a ton of good bands in the Northwest, but it's like not super prevalent, you know, like there's still obviously like, there's a lot of deathcore, there's a lot of metalcore, there's like a lot of stoner metal out here, and we are not that.
That's big.
You know, like we're just fast. So we wanted to do it fast, and turned out pretty good. And yeah, just play something if you got it queued.
I do. I
just talked for the length of the entire demo EP.
Quite literally. But you know, like we talk about this a bunch, like that's the fun of it. It's short. This shit doesn't need to be an 8-minute song. Like, you can have the impact you need to have in 1 or 2 minutes, and then just fucking move on. It doesn't.
Dude, I don't have the attention span for that, and like people don't either. Think about how many fucking bands there are now. You know what I'm saying? It's like I consider myself like very knowledgeable in heavy music and everything, and I'll go to shows and I'll see band t-shirts. I'm like, yo, I've never heard that band before.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, was like, that's in my hometown at my home venue, you know, like, I don't know who that band is. So you got to get people quick or just get it out. So I've got, you know, I'm guilty of it too. I'll listen to a song for a minute. If I'm not feeling it, I'm like, something I like. Never mind.
But that's everybody.
That's everybody, right? Nobody's got time for the shit. So yeah, just make it rip. Do it hard.
Well, I think it's like, it's interesting too, like the way you're talking about the scene out there right now and the comparison to like previous Seattle scenes, like grunge and stuff. It kind of sounds, and it's always sounded like that as you were, you know, developing presence there amongst those bands and artists. It sounds like fucking early 90s grunge shit. Like everyone's helping each other out. The Reels are in like 9 different bands. There's a studio bro. It's like but it's all still underground. It's not, you know, I don't know. It's just interesting.
Yeah. I mean, we've got one metal radio guy here who'll play like local bands at like midnight on Saturdays, but that's it. You know, like other than that, you got to get out there and hustle. And like, you know, like hardcore is really thriving here. Like those, like the younger kids have like really taken that, kind of made it their own. It's very sick. Like I love to see it. But you know, it's like everybody in this band, we're all like 35 and I go to a lot of shows, but like I got called sir at a hardcore show recently and I was like, all right.
Amazing.
All right. That's where I'm
amazing.
At
you might as well just buy your coffin now because it's over, buddy.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm graying.
That's fucking hilarious. All right, let's play some of this shit. Which one would be the? You just want me to hit the hill?
Yeah, just started from the top.
All right, and let me know if you can't hear this, but you should be able to hear this. Delicious. So what you got to tell me about the recording process again. This is like it was 1 day, 2 days.
So they already had this kind of ready to go. And then, you know, some stuff happened with their previous singer that they were doing some stuff with. They played a couple shows under a different name. And, you know, I think they just kind of weren't the creative differences, you know? So
yeah,
I honestly,
was that band called Wiping? Or was the progression to the name different?
It was called Chaos Servant, but
okay, sick.
But yeah, dude, sick band. Like I saw him play, and I was like, sick. Love to see the homies get wild. But no, dude, we actually landed on that name because I was like, hey, let's change up the vibe a little bit. You guys haven't put out stuff yet. Plus, I'm already in another band called Void Dancer, so Chaos Servant. I was just like, which one am I? You know, like. But I was just like, I pitched it. I was like, hey, dude, like, let's just change it one more time, and let's just make it whatever. And of course, we throw out like the worst band names in the world on the group chat.
You've done that
before.
Yeah.
It sucks. But I always try to look for things of like, okay, what's not taken? You know, that's not like a made up word. And somehow I landed. I was looking at, you know, just listening to a bunch of grind bands I like and stuff. As you do, you know, you pay homage. And I love Napalm Death. And one of my favorite albums is Smear Campaign. So I was like, oh, Smear Campaign's a sick like band name. Obviously, there's like 8 bands called Smear Campaign.
Definitely.
Already. So, and then I was just kind of Googling around and I was like, smearing. was like, that's kind of cool. It's kind of gross. It's kind of gritty. And then I just typed in smearing.bandcamp.com and it wasn't taken. And I was like, all right, guys, this has got to be the band name. Like, you know,
I think it's hilarious how the internet has changed band naming convention, because back in the day, yeah, there'd be multiple bands named that. And if one got to a level of prominence, they would just like have to sue the other ones into submission.
It straight up happens. But like, so you remember the old metalcore band that I played in like the 2010s called Ancients?
Yeah, of course.
Of course, like when everybody was just naming their band plurals of whatever. Yeah. There was
a whole thing.
There was four other bands that we had to like fight off because of like, you know, just everybody was trying to do it. There was like this really kind of like, they're probably from like UK or something, but really ambient band called Ancients that was like, you know, just really, you know, Sigur kind of chill stuff.
Yeah.
And then there was a band from Canada who was kind of stoner metal, like
Canada, eh?
Well, and they ended up getting bigger. But then there's some other band from Atlanta, and we were like really close, and they're like, we're Ancients. And I was like, hey guys, like we're already playing shows in your town. You can't do that. You know, like whatever. So the other band, like the UK band, ended up putting a little asterisk after their name, which is fun. And, you know, so they were like, hey, we had it first, but you guys are doing well. That's fine. The Canadian band added a second I, so ANCIIENTS. They ended up getting signed to a big label and then going on tour with Lamb of God.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I was just like, oh yeah, they're way bigger than us now. And then I don't know what happened to the other band. They're just a bunch of kids, but hopefully they did the smart thing and quit playing music and got real jobs.
Yeah, hopefully it's ancient history for them. You know?
I mean, shit like that. And that was over 10 years ago. So just imagine how many band names have already been taken. And yeah, I mean, do like even like bigger bands that you see like Kubla Khan, who's like a big, you know, just kind of like mosh metal hardcore stuff. Like they had to add a TX, like Texas, after their name because some other band who's clearly not as big, but just already had the rights to it.
Yeah.
Had it, you know? Bands just have to do that nowadays. And it's ridiculous. Like it
is ridiculous. Well, but I mean, like the internet does make it easier. Like you're talking about, you start searching shit and then you find an open one. You're like, perfect. We're not competing with anyone because we're claiming this.
Well, and it helps the internet, so much, right? Because
it's funny how it makes you change. Like there's so many things that we've gone to go do a release for and have to be like, fuck, try this, and we'll go through like the whole list. And it really is that it's like which one isn't taken. That's the deciding factor anymore. It's not which one is the one that you want the most. It's which one is not already fucking taken by somebody else.
And it's like, you know, it's in the group chat too, right? Like now you got to like I have to consider 3 other people. I'm like, yo, I think this is tight. It's cool. And then of course, right when I say it, somebody's like, I don't hate it. And then like, I was like, okay. I was like, cool. That's a start. Like, you know, cause we threw out some real stinkers. Like everybody does, you know, like the bass player, I'll just like say something and you're just like, all right, dude. Like,
well, but you know, this is a bass player. So
yeah, just kidding, Matt. I love you if you watch this. No, but it's just kind of funny. Well, I mean, it's like just like everything else, how it kind of worked out. It just like came to that really quick, and I was like, I don't care. This is fine. Let's just fucking do it. And finally, like everybody slept on it, and they were just like, all right, let's just do it. And I was like, yeah, we'll get it out quicker because I don't want to argue about this anymore. Like, I don't want to think of anything better.
No, yeah. Dude, it's fucking hilarious. Like that. I just think it's funny now that's like how you decide on the project's name by what is open. And yeah, you're just like, okay, this is open, so let's fucking take it.
Well, and it's like, I don't know, it's got to fit the vibe a little bit too. Like I told people like what we were going to call it before it was actually out. And they were like, one of my friends who's like a grindcore guy, I respect him. Me and him share music all the time. He plays in another band that I love a lot. And he was just like, yo, that's a terrible band name. And I was just like, all right, dude. Yeah. And he started calling it like schmearing, like on a bagel. And he was like, oh, it just reminds me of like smearing shit. And I was like, yeah, kind of what it is.
That's fine. And I don't see a problem with that.
And then he was like, hey, dude, you were right. I was like, yeah, it fits, right? Like, plus it's easy to fucking search, which is like, I think a thing that a lot of bands like need to, not saying I'm an expert, obviously, but you know me, dude, I'm a marketing guy. Like I work in marketing during the day. So you need to make your stuff searchable and easy to find because again, people aren't going to spend 5 minutes they're not even going to spend 60 seconds trying to find the thing. Like, you have to put your link out, make it as easy as possible for them to go one click and find it. And that's it, you know? And yeah, I think people try to muck it up too much and just try to make these really complicated things. And they're like, why isn't anybody like, why aren't we getting any hits online? It's like, because nobody can spell that made up word that you made, you know, or like, you know, or like, don't get me wrong, I love stupid death metal, but when it's just like, you know, surgical terms mixed with something that is nihilistic, it's just like, nobody can spell that.
Yeah.
You know, like,
they can't even read the font.
Dude,
so
you can't read the font. And I am, you know, fluent in reading a pile of sticks, but most people are not. You know, like, I'll look at a shirt and be like, sick shirt, and it just looks like a fucking my niece just scribbled on a shirt.
You're like fucking decoding Egyptian hieroglyphics.
But if that's your thing too, like, lean into it. Like, lean into it super hard. Like that band Sanguisugabog. I know, like, you definitely, like, you and I have definitely listened.
They're the shit, yeah.
But like, hilarious. They leaned into it. They were like, oh, our name's hard to say, and our logo's illegible, and our music is just ridiculous. Like, cool, and just lean into it. But you can't lean into it and then be like, why isn't this working? Or like, it's so easy, guys. It's so easy to say. Like, lean into it and be dicks about it, and that's kind of the thing. I don't know.
Well, you also brought up a good point. Stop caring,
dude.
Stop fucking caring. The more you care and the more you build up this expectation of what it should be, the less likely it's going to be anything.
My life just got really, like, whatever. We're not going to go on personal shit. Just know that I'm living in a studio apartment and there's reasons for it. But, you know, my life just got fucked for a while. And the second that I was like, you know, start taking care of myself, saying like, oh, this shit doesn't matter, whatever. Like, I just subscribed to the idea of positive nihilism, where it's like, this doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Like, I'm a fucking evolved ape on a floating rock that is hurling through infinite nothingness in space. And when you kind of like step out of it like that, it makes your problem seem so small. And like the thing that you're doing seems so stupid and silly. And you can laugh at it and just have fun with it. And if you get criticism, you can just like, no, I don't care. Fuck you. Like, it doesn't matter, you know? Like, this is like, somebody's like, oh, that's a stupid band name, or somebody's like, it's a grindcore band, dude. Like,
this whole thing is stupid. This whole thing I'm doing here is stupid. So
it's a bunch of fucking grown adults wearing all black and proving how intense and hard they can be while like acting like monsters, you know? I dedicated my life to it.
Yes, theater. It's theater.
But yeah, it's fun when you like don't care about shit. I mean, it's like, again, like, I'm not saying that we're like a big band. We haven't even played a fucking show yet, which is crazy, you know? But it's like, we put it out. I didn't send a single email because usually, you know, like, I'm that guy. Like, I've worked with other bands. I've done all my band stuff, and I'll put together these press kits and I'll share things. And then, yeah, dude, just like the link you pulled up, we, like, a couple days after the EP came out, I like woke up one morning to a bunch of hits, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And somebody from Decibel like wrote a little thing on us. I didn't send a single email to Decibel. And you know that every other release I've ever done, I've sent like a email to Decibel with like links to everything. Like, hey, consider trying this out for fans of blank, blank, and blank. I didn't do shit this time. And luckily, the dude who wrote it's name's Gene. He's a really funny comedian. He also plays in a sick grindcore band called Bandit. So shout out, Gene. You rule. But it's just like, you know, friends of friends. It was all just natural stuff. Like, I'm sure like he saw one of our mutual friends post about it, and he was like, yeah, what is this? Grindcore. Like, this doesn't come out that often. There's like 15 good grindcore releases a year. So the fan base is rabid. I mean, I'm the same way, right? Like, if I hear a new grind band, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll check it out for sure. And most of the time it just sounds like they really don't care. You have to care a little bit, you know? But,
no, dude, I think there is something
lucky, man.
There is something about caring less. I don't know.
Dude, yeah,
I you know,
it's like that 38 Special song. You got to hold on loosely, but don't let go, you know?
Yeah. Wow, the Pacific Northwest has really opened your third eye, bro.
Nah, dude, that's Southern rock, baby. That's old.
Yeah, you know, I you gotta just fucking care less, dude. I don't know. Like, I have always found it. I feel like whatever resistance I'm experiencing accelerates the more I care about it. Like, there's a one-to-one relationship. Like, the more I care about something being a certain way, the harder it is to make it that way. And I feel like when you just stop fucking caring as much as it being this, nothing's going to be perfect.
Dude, it's never perfect. Especially when you're dealing with something creative, dude. It's
nothing's going to be perfect.
I was working with, just like doing creative stuff with with one of my friends, and she was getting really down on herself about like, she's like, oh, but like this mistake, I can't do it. I was just like, everything has mistakes. I was like, every single, like, we went to the art museum together, and it really like brought it into perspective for her. I was like, look at every single one of these things. The person who made this at no point the entire time was like, this is absolutely perfect. Like, they make a mistake and it becomes something important to the person who is viewing it and who is perceiving it as notable or, relatable to them because of like that little thing, like I specifically, like, even when I did like vocals for the smearing stuff, we knocked it all out just this really quick. And I even told
they sound fucking great.
When I was like,
they sound fucking great.
I told Bob, I was like, hey man, we're playing everything back through just to make sure we like hit all the parts and whatever. I was like, I'm going to want to redo everything. Do not let me. So I was like, dude, like whatever it is, just, it's going to be fine. Just like, don't let me redo anything. And he was like, okay. So yeah, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So is destruction. And yeah, I don't know. My advice for anybody, like, cause I can give advice cause I'm a successful piece of shit. No, but like anybody who's like trying to do something creative or, even if you've been doing it for a long time and you like do cooler shit than me, it's a good reminder to like not care. Like you have to let go a little bit and just kind of submit and let things be what they are, because that's just what it is, man. Like,
that's how it's going to be anyways.
And if you try too hard, it's going to sound fake and AI, and we don't need any more of that. And yeah, you're going to reek of desperation. Like, I think that's one thing that I like when I'm checking out new bands. I hate when they're too polished. And I know that's like such a shitty metal guy thing to say, which is like, you look like you care too much, but it's true.
No,
like,
that's a valuable point now, especially when you can't replicate it live. That's a very valid thing 100%. To say. It's false advertising.
Or even if it is like, and you can replicate it live, everybody's playing to like a click track and you've got, too many fucking lights for a local band who brought 25 people out. Like, it's just, you got to know where you're at and just work with it. I don't know. Again, who am I to give advice? I'm just,
right. I'm just giving medium. Who are we? Who are we to be arbiters of anything? Yeah, for sure.
I'm just here giving lukewarm takes.
Well, I think caring less is a spicy take. I don't think anybody is out here saying you should care less. If anything, society is telling us to care more about this or that. But I don't know, dude. It's like, it's interesting too, because it's like why I like metal music is because it's more harmonious to me than the static of life. I don't know. It for me, when I listen to metal music, it brings me back to like a more centered place than hearing the sounds of the world and news and shit. I had this guy on the show who like researches sound and vibration. Okay. And he was talking about this nerve called the vagal nerve and this thing called vagal tone. And it is this idea that evolution caused us to grow accustomed to the sounds of nature, and that the baseline sounds of nature have like a healing or restorative effect to your body. The actual sounds of nature, like there's like some kind of benefit. And now, I mean, I can say this, not everybody that lives in a city is completely divorced from nature, but like as somebody who lives in a town that's divorced of nature, I definitely feel more static in my general anxiety than I did when I lived in places with more nature. But I just think it's funny that like the static of life and world, metal has always been like this harmonious rebalancer for me. And one of the things I learned from listening to metal music is stop caring. Like all my favorite metal records, objectively, they sound like shit. That's why I love them. There's fuck ups. You can hear shit in the background. That is why it's a record that I like. It's because it's like real and tangible. And
yeah, or you hear that weird little squeak or that, pick scraper or like whatever. It's like, it doesn't have to be perfect, man. And as much as like sometimes like you can appreciate metal that is supposed to be very structured and stuff like that, nothing is perfect, and trying to make it do so, you're going to eliminate any unique qualities that it might have, because then that's just when you hit a standard baseline of what other people are considering to be acceptable. And that's not why you're doing this, right? And if it is, like, go fucking make a pop record, dude. Like, the AI can already do that. Go listen to the radio. It's like coworker music. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you familiar with what I'm talking about when I say coworker music?
Coworker music.
It's like the generic bland bands that just like play on the radio or play in the supermarket. It's like,
oh yeah, Courtney calls that, it's like Target music. There's like another term for it. But like
that episode of what was it? I Think You Should Leave, when he's like, Friday night thinking you. It's like that. It's just like really simple 4/4. Like that's coworker music. It's just like everybody's got that coworker who's like, oh my gosh, I love this, and you're like, why? Do you have? Are you bereft of a soul?
Yeah, like, this makes me want to jump out of this window right now,
dude. 100%. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's like that's why when you really dive into like metal or extreme music, you just hit this stride of like finding the things that you really like, and it just ends up, if you just let go, it just ends up being super weird, and you find some of the coolest stuff. It might not have a ton of plays or whatever, just because it's not going to get picked up because it's like weird shit. But
that's most music.
It's cool stuff to connect to, dude. Like I've got a lot of really awesome bands, especially like in my, my little zone up here in the Pacific Northwest, that are like super weird. Will never be like huge, but it's like when they win a little bit, everybody here gets really stoked, just because it's like, dude, like you guys just completely did your own weird thing. You're still representing our area, but you're not doing it in a cheesy way. Like you're not doing the Seattle sports team shirt, like, I don't know. It's cool. You're not putting on for your city like a rapper, but it's still just like, oh yeah, we're weird out here.
Yeah. Whatever happened to keep Austin weird?
That's a really good question, man. I
don't know if it ever was actually a thing, because it seemed pretty generic every time I experienced it. But
yeah, last time I was there, I mean, like barbecue's good,
but that's not weird.
No, I mean,
it's the South. It better have good barbecue.
Yeah, I don't know. They got a bunch of good music venues. I mean, they have a ton of good bands and stuff, but they're all, spread out. Music City, baby. And dude, Nashville's the same way, man. Nashville was like, I don't think Nashville ever claimed to be weird, because we lived there for like a good decade plus, but it just got really saturated. But also the metal scene there again is like killing it. Like, dude, it's huge there now. Like every time I see pictures of shows, I'm like, all right, fellas and ladies and everyone in between.
Yeah. How inclusive? You got to be inclusive.
Have some fucking fun.
That is hilarious. Yeah. I don't know, man. I just, with so much static, I feel like you got to take the moments of clarity that you can get, and I don't know, where rapidly AI is just now becoming more a part of everything, which I'm sure you hate.
Oh, I've been very against it, but I also I've learned to, again, let go a little bit and embrace like the dark side of it. like I just had this thought the other day. I was like, I'm not that worried, because if AI actually gets sentient and like thinks like a human, it's going to want to kill itself. Oh, sorry, unalive. I don't know if you're going to try to use that as a...
Oh, it's fine. I'll edit it out. The YouTube's censorship is ridiculous, but yeah, you know, again, like, the more I see about AI, the more I use AI, the more I realize that it doesn't do anything. It just does what I ask it to do within the context of whatever its large language learning model is.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only like really scary thing about it is people's inability to differentiate what is real and what is not.
Yeah, but bro, the Photoshop, well before AI, was doing the same shit. Doctored photos before Photoshop.
I mean,
people are just fucking gullible, really, is what it boils down to.
I mean, for sure. But I find it like ironic that it's like, so we, you know, like, we're dating ourselves here, but like, you know, when we were growing up, like we got the internet as like young teenagers, or like, you know, it's like our families would get like America Online, whatever. So like we grew to be exposed to the internet as to where I can remember our parents, like you and I would find like, be like, oh, I want to get this Slipknot shirt online. And they're like, don't you dare put the credit card information into that computer. Don't believe everything you see on there. Now, every time I feel like I'm talking to my parents, I'm just like, hey, don't believe everything you see on there.
That's fake.
I've been exposed
you just
to it
sent
my
me a
entire
fake thing.
life. Yeah, dude. Yeah. It's like, and that's why it's just like so many old people get sucked up into like the media craze of everything. And it's like, it's all for ratings. They're all just trying to, it's clickbait. Like we know what clickbait is.
Dude,
like,
we were also aware of that at a young age.
Yeah, 100%.
Like we like a lot of what I've been really laughing my ass off at the past 2 or 3 years is how some people are just now coming to the conclusion that shit is fucked. Like they're just now like, oh my God, like, is it really this bad? And it's like, dude, no. For 10 years, you were calling me an asshole for saying that I wasn't the case. But now here we fucking are. And it's also funny too, like how many people I know that are now becoming conspiracy theorists. Like people, again, who were telling me like, that's nuts, that's crazy. Now they're all texting me like the most unhinged conspiracy theories. And I'm doing like what you're saying. I'm like, dude, that's fake. That's AI. That was already debunked, dude. Like, what are you fucking talking about? But it's like we were ahead of the curve there. We saw through whatever illusion is being pushed to us a long time ago. And it's really not fooling us now. But most people, they're just now coming to that. They're just now coming to the conclusion that shit is, I mean, that's irreparably fucked.
That's good. I'm glad that people like, I have noticed that I can have more like real conversations. Cause like for like my day job, for example, I have to go around the city. I talk to a lot of different people, a lot of different personality types, you know, bar managers, whatever, you know, and I'm able to have the weirdest conversations now as to where like, you know, some places or some things you feel like you have to like, oh, the weather. And, you know, now I can like walk into a place and somebody will like be having a conversation that I can just jump in on and they'd be like, yeah, it's really fucked up that the U.S. government's killing all these people. I'm like, isn't it though? Like, yeah, I saw this years ago. It's fucking wild. Like, did you know we armed them too? Like,
yeah, exactly. We trained them. We trained them and gave them guns. Couldn't you believe that?
We're still number one, baby.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious. And I don't know, like, it's made me care less. I used to get wound up about a lot of this shit. But
I was
anymore,
worried about you for a while.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like there was a point where like there were I got down many dark rabbit holes that like really fucked my brain up for a bit. But, you know, you emerge past it and it's just none of it fucking matters. And it could all be bullshit. Anyways, so I honestly, that is what scares me. When we talk about like what happens in society over the course of the next 5 or 10 years, what scares me is that a lot of people are just now coming to that conclusion. And there's like a whole there's like a whole argument to be made that the masses are being pushed toward that conclusion deliberately so that we react in some way that is bad for us.
That allows them
starting to CEOs
that allows
and politicians.
it allows them to input martial law or something.
Well, yeah,
right?
that's again. We have talked about that. We've thought about that. We've already put in some sweat equity into accepting that as a possible future, and that's why it scares me, because a lot of these people now becoming, and it's so funny, dude. It's like, I don't know if you've experienced this, but like, bro, during Biden's election, no liberal was entertaining some conspiracy shit. That was all conservatives. And then with this last election, all the liberal people who were like, we got to trust the system, they're the first people to be like, oh, this was rigged. Harris should have won. Trump shouldn't have won. It's like, dude, it's the levels of hypocrisy that's what's reaching critical mass. But, you know, it's just been so funny to watch.
No, it's been rigged. It's all rigged.
It's all right. That's the whole point that I'm saying is like, if we're going to, I'll entertain that. But then what we're accepting is, which I will also entertain, that all this shit has been rigged. It's just a fucking show. It's just a show to get you to respond a certain way. So again, that's why it scares me. People now just wising up to it en masse, like when you can walk around in random places and hear people talking about this shit. You know, I don't know. You get fucking nut assholes who go out and start CEOs and try and politicians. That's what happens. So, and that's going to negatively affect everyone who's not trying to do any of that behavior. But I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not a main character, man. I used to think I was when I was like, dude, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not an NPC by any means.
We're just peasants. We're just simple peasants.
But to like, I don't subscribe to the idea that I'm going to change the world. Yep. I'm going to positively impact my bubble and the people around me in the best way that I can, with
that's all that matters. Kindness,
being genuine, making the right decision, and sticking up for people where I can. And that's all I can do. Because, you know, it's like, dude, I'm not going to freak out. Like, somebody's like, really, fucking the government's going to do this. It's like, what are you going to do? But it's like, you know, I saw, dude, like I was at like a punk fest or like a hardcore fest, and I saw somebody wearing a shirt, you know, like you see like good punk shirts, you know, like people were like, yeah, like, you know, anarchist shit, whatever. But it said pacifists against fascists on his shirt. And I was just like, so what are you going to do? Like, I was like, how are you going to, you know, like that's the kind of person who's like, we got to do something. I'm like, I know what I would do.
Well, your options are limited.
If there was like, if there was Nazis that showed up to like my show, like me and my friends would probably fucking like get them out of the show with like as best we could with physical force, because they're not going to listen. They're not going to be like, hey, your ideology is actually wrong, and here's why you shouldn't be in our space. Yeah, right. No, like you need to work out and learn how to use a weapon. Yeah. And that's all I'm going to say. Yeah, you know, again, it's not anyone's responsibility to fix this shit. And to be honest with you, we barely even contributed to it. Like most of us peasants, we're not polluting the fucking oceans. We're not polluting the fucking air. That's not us. We're not doing that. You should have no physical responsibility for any of that. The only thing you can do is treat the general area and the people that occupy it with you with respect. That's it. That's all we can do. That's all we can do. Yeah. And that's what we do, bud. We just do it with love. Right. That is what we do. That's what we've always done. With love and a spiteful, burning disdain for everything that we hate. And it's a motivating force. Yeah. I'm going to kill them with kindness, bud. Well, it's like, dude, bro, you want to take my life? Please. You want to take my life? Please. Give me a reason. Yeah. It doesn't matter. We need to fucking care less about this shit. I don't know anymore. It's just the only thing that scares me is fucking people now coming to these conclusions. That's the only concerning part for me. What the world's gonna world, government's gonna government. This shit is like operating at a pay grade well above all of us. We're just along for the ride. So you got to fucking make sure you enjoy it while we can. But it goes back to doing art.
This is how you and I, and plenty of our other friends, but you and I have always just channeled this shit, the frustration that we have with the situation that we find ourselves in, and we just channel it into something else. And then it doesn't have like power over you. You know, that's why
Exactly.
we can look at it this way now. We have done this so many times. We've been able to like therapeutically remove that shit, like physically take it out of our mind and body. I don't know. I guess this is really some hippie shit, but maybe you have some hippie shit to add to that. But this is the piece we create. We take in the fucking stimulus from the world around us, and we turn it into something else that's beneficial to our soul in some way. I don't know. I wish more people did that instead of scrolling on TikTok to find the conspiracies that aligned with them and their beliefs.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, doesn't matter.
It is,
it doesn't matter. I don't care. You can do what you want. It will just be fun to watch this dumpster fire.
Like,
I've always thought this. If I'm alive to watch the collapse of society, that's kind of cool. It won't be fun, but it'll be kind of cool to say like, oh yeah, I was alive for this. I don't know.
Who are you going to tell?
Just myself. Like, as the shit is burning down, it's like, oh, well, you know, all things considered, this is pretty cool. I'm getting to witness it.
I mean, yeah, I just hope it's in a way that I find to be aesthetically pleasing, you know, like, I don't know, like if it's a flood or something, like that's kind of a bummer because that's not immediate, you know, but also like you get to see a bunch of crazy shit go down.
I don't know. It depends on the flood, but it could be immediate depending on where you are on the West Coast.
Well, I've been building this arc lately, so you should go check out. By the way, I'm going to need 2 of everyone.
Why would you want to live though, you know?
No, dude. Well, and dude, that's what I always say with like, you know, people have, you know, remember a couple years ago, the whole like zombie apocalypse obsession started with all the TV shows and everything. By the time they get to season 2 or 3, I'm like, I'm out. It's like,
Yeah.
Like, why am I living anymore? I was like,
sucks.
Literally everyone I know is dead, and everyone that I meet is going to try to and rob me for the things that I do have. And then everyone else is just like an infected zombie. Why do I want to be here? You know, it's like, I just want to start a grindcore band. That's really impossible to do in the apocalyptic times, you know?
Not
Unless
with
it's
that
like a
attitude.
Mad Max situation, you know?
With the right attitude, it's not. But with that attitude, it is. Negative
best part is it would-
apocalypse, Nancy.
That would actually be sick because it would clear any history of band names, and you could just choose any band name that you wanted to.
Yeah, you could be the only band named that in the scene because you were the only people in the scene. Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
People just like, oh man, it's like, yeah, we're Metallica. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's incredible.
But you know what's funny? Like, you could rewrite history too, because some people would show up, be like, some guys would show up, be like, hey, we're the Beatles, and somebody would be like, that's the worst fucking band name ever. Like, so
Death,
stupid.
we're putting them
Don't-
to death right now.
don't- Yeah, no, you're shave your head.
See, that's a battle of the bands I'd like to see. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Where the stakes
People-
were death.
people trying to reclaim the band names that they want, and then if you lose, you die.
Yeah, you die.
Yeah, like it's the old LA scene. I mean, that's basically what it was like, man. You know, it's a real live or die out there.
Skid Row is a real place. So
Oh yeah, I've been there.
let's kind of kick it back to smearing here too for a second. So didn't you guys get on a show? I thought I saw a flyer or something.
Yeah, I mean, we've got
like a
some
fest,
shows.
mini
I just
fest?
haven't announced them yet. But we'll be doing some like local shows around like Coma, Olympia, Seattle, like, you know, just the
Sick.
usual stuff. So we'll be kind of going out for a little bit. We want to tour and we'll like do some stuff, but obviously like we're all over 35. We're not gonna make it. You know, it's like, I don't think any of us think that, but it's like, we might as well do this while we still have time. And as like bands come through, like, because like grindcore is such a niche thing, you know, maybe we can hook up with them and be like, hey, can we
Be
just,
the
like,
opener.
can we play
Yeah.
your Washington and Oregon dates? And like, that's tight. Like, I would love to do that, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, dude, stuff like that we kind of got in the works. And then yeah, we're gonna play Northwest Speed Fest, which is a couple dudes up here that have been in like long time bands like that put together this big fest. So there's like they're kind of releasing the lineup one by one, but obviously a lot of Northwest bands, just like fast power violence, hardcore, grindcore, punk, you know, extreme metal stuff. There's a couple bands, right? Somebody from Texas so far, some Idaho folks, some California. I think I saw a foreign band on there too. I gotta double check the lineup. I mean, if you think you can't read death metal, try to read the the Northwest Speed Fest lineup. It's like, it's very illegible, but that's going to be super fun. So that's going to be in Seattle later this summer. Definitely looking forward to that. One of our good friends' weddings is the day before we play. So I've got to go straight from being in a wedding, and then the next day,
incredible.
Like, I might just show up in a suit.
You should do that.
I'll just bring the entire wedding party.
Yeah, you should make it a shiny suit, like Puff Daddy.
That's really dumb. We're not going there.
You know what I mean? Like a shiny Puff Daddy suit. That'd be cool, right?
Nah, dude. All ages shows. We don't deal with that shit.
Yeah, that's fair.
Pacifists against Diddy.
Yeah, you know, it's like, how do you find a way to make this shit work for you? It's a niche thing. Not accepting not making it is like the most freeing fucking thing. Again, care less. And you absolutely have the ability to be like a go-to grind opener for any bands that you want to see. We're not talking about bands that are like sequestered in a tour bus far away from the venue. Like this is touchable shit.
Well, dude, and that's why, you know, that's why I got into this stuff to begin with, because it's like, it's tangible, right? It's not like, you know, obviously super cool. Like, I would like to play the biggest arena I'd like to play Madison Square Garden, but like, really, do I? No, I want to play a packed 300 cap room with three other bands that I like, having a good time. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it's all about, because you're able to talk to these people and be around them. And I think that's what, like, you know, underground music in general is it's appealing, because it's for us, you know, by the people who actually are into it, you know, as to where, like, you know, don't get me wrong, I love a Lady Gaga song here and there, but it's like, that's not tangible, you know, like that's a whole nother world of things that, like, you know, of course that's not gonna, that level of stardom or, you know, fame or creative success is so far-fetched to what we feel is like realistic, and
it also seems like it seems like a fucking prison.
Dude, it seems like a nightmare. You know what I'm saying, dude? Like, you know, have you ever, like, because James, like, you've toured and stuff before. It's like, after like 2 weeks of a tour, sometimes you're like, I hate this. Like, I want to go home. I'm so overwhelmed.
Hard. It's like, I'm sick of sleeping on floors. I'm sick of eating shit. I want some consistency in my home.
Yeah.
You know,
I want to go back to my shitty job. No.
and just from like working events too, it's such like everything. There's like a bunch of jokes in events. Hurry up and wait.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, we need you to go do this, and you go and do it, and you come back and you realize it was completely pointless. You didn't need to go do that at all. They've moved on to some other thing. There's like this level of it's impersonal. Even like an arena show, working an arena show.
Yeah.
It's just impersonal. Like the audience is behind 30 feet of space and steel barricade, and they're like, you know, corralled into these tiny pits. There's no chance you're gonna talk to the artist. Like, that's just not gonna fuck. Even during a meet and greet, it's like you're still 30 feet away from them, because one of you might be a serial trying to, you know, like, it's just so impersonal. I don't know, like the coolest shows of my memory are same thing. It's in like some shit ass club, watching a super obscure band that I wanted to see, and getting to fucking kick it in the parking lot afterward with them. That's a cool experience to me.
Having them jump out in the crowd and do stuff, and you're like, yep, it's what it is.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I guess this is what it. I guess my whole thing with like anybody who like wants to do anything creative or be in a band or do whatever, just like find your thing that you want to do and just do it and stop caring so much. Quit putting all these weird, unrealistic expectations on what success is. Like, define your own success. You know, like I'm a 36-year-old man, and to tell somebody that I play in a heavy metal band, you know, to like the uninitiated, right? Is you have to be like, oh, like what kind of music? You're like, oh, like screamy, scary metal, you know? I don't say that with shame. I just, I say it in terms they can understand, but I'm also just like, if somebody's like, oh, you're 36 and playing in a band, I'm like, yeah, I'm having a lot more fun than you are probably. You know, like I'm doing what I want to do because I'm doing stuff with my friends. I'm having creative output. I'm not just like sitting and watching other people do stuff and judge it. And yeah, you can do that all you want. Sure. I mean, getting reviews is cool because people talk about you online or whatever, but also like, shut the fuck up. Go do like go do something. I don't know, like whether it be cooking or crocheting or whatever, like rock collecting. Just go do something. Like, and don't sit and just watch the news and TV and freak out and get all worried and clench your little fists and white knuckle everything in life. You just gotta let go.
And man. Butthole. Don't forget the butthole.
And you're gonna give yourself a Hemi.
You don't want this Hemi. Okay.
James, both James and I have had hemorrhoids before. You don't want hemorrhoids. It's worse. It's worse than coworker music.
Hooray for anal health care. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, anal health care for all. That's really what we're getting. Yeah. Universal anal health care.
Yeah, preparation H with every person who votes, you know.
Is that a good spot to end it?
I just what would you say?
Is that a good spot to end it?
It's probably, I was going to say, this is probably the best pace. We should just pinch it off here, you know? And I want to end by playing one more smearing song. But of course, Clint, give the shout outs. I will, of course, be leaving these links in the description, but tell the people what to go check out.
All right. So we are smearing from Seattle, Washington. Smearing.bandcamp.com. Super easy. Smearing on Spotify. There's not another one. Smearing on Tidal and all this other, because it's a great band name. That's how good it is that nobody thought of it.
It's flawless. Every handle.
Dude, just smearing on everything. If you just type in smearing, I think we're smearing.grind on Instagram and socials. If you just type in smearing or smearing grindcore, we're gonna pop up somewhere. Yo, shout out Northwest Heavy Bands. I love all of you.
Nurser, who
shout
else?
out
Come on.
everybody. Yeah, everybody who's like in the crew. Shout out Nurser. Shout out Eris. Shout out. Oh, I'm blanking. I wasn't ready.
Put you
for
on the
this.
spot, huh?
Dude, I don't know. All the homies. I love you. Great Falls. Disease. I don't know. Just any great band that we want to play with. So. Yeah, that's it.
Shameless. Love that. Love that. Well, this has been the Totally Legitimate Business Podcast. We're gonna wrap it up here. We're gonna roll this out with Brighter Future by Smearing. If you like what you hear, check out the links in the description below. And we'll see you on the next one.
This has been the Totally Legitimate Business Podcast. The end. With your host, James Oliva. Executive producers, Clint Gee and James Oliva.
That's obnoxious.
Sound design, mix, and master by James Oliva.
Literally no one cares.
For more Totally Legitimate Business, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Totally Legitimate Business or add us on TikTok at TLB Pod.
When will this end?
Thank you for listening. Now get back to work.
Move it along, buddy.